We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. How are we doing today on this fantastic Wednesday night? I am your host, Kojo. Sorry for checking in from what was kind of a rainy and kind of a sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. So we're gonna talk about grief today. Um, so it's a difficult subject, and I've had a happy day. So to talk about this topic, you have to get yourself mentally right to talk about it. But I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. Like I'm excited to see you all virtually, that is, and to talk about it. So I'm excited to get into it. Go ahead and use the comment section if you're new here to introduce yourself. Let me know where you're checking in from, and I got mine here. So this is my name. My name is Kojo. I posted my mental health, comedy, and education on. Feel free to stick around, but please stick around. Let me give a big shout out to Leilani, who is one of my moderators. Thank you for staying up. I know it's late on the East Coast. It's 8 o'clock, 8:55 here in California, but I know it's almost midnight on the East Coast. And Trish says, "Boy, no, yeah, Trish, I'm aware. It's kind of late. This is much later than I go live. I don't go live this late, and I don't go live on Wednesdays. But I missed yesterday, so I wanted to come on." And I missed you all, and I wanted to talk about grief and a couple of things about that. So let me see who is all in here. Sherbet from Australia. Okay. Vicky, so nice to see you again. Ohio in the house. Perfect timing. Miranda from New Mexico. Miranda, I appreciate you. Misty, thank you, Misty. I cleaned up a little bit today. Thank you very much. Anna from Washington. Lacey from Missouri. Taylor, hey, I appreciate you. I'm happy that you're excited. I'm excited for your excitement to see me. Hi, I lost my dad and dog in the last year, and it's so hard to be alone. Shauna, very, very sorry to hear that. And this live is for you. Hopefully, you can get some tips and understand that you're not the only one going through this type of stuff. Western New York in the house, 10:55. Yeah, I know it's late, y'all. And keep in mind, if you can't finish the whole live stream, every single live stream is going to be kept, so you can always come back tomorrow and watch it if you don't want to watch it live, right? Or if you have to go to bed. I love you. Hey, Montana, I appreciate that. Portland, okay. Jessica, very, very sorry to hear this. The last part of your statement, that's kind of how grief is, right? You never really get rid of it, but you kind of learn how to move forward, right? And create like a new baseline, a new normal, right? So Alberta, Michigan, Ohio, Misty, I remember you. Denver, just going through grief. Hey, Rainy, we're going to talk about it. So let me first talk about why I wanted to talk about grief. So yesterday, we should have gone live in the morning. We should have gone live in the nighttime, right? I woke up to a phone call from my friend, right? I thought he was just calling to be like, "Oh, you're late for the gym." I was late for the gym, but I'm late everywhere. It's part of the ADHD experience. It just happens. So he called me. He was like, "Oh, Takeoff passed away. He was shot." Takeoff is a rapper from the group Migos, and I'm from Atlanta, so I have friends who knew these guys growing up, and of course these guys became big millionaires and big superstars. But anytime somebody from your hometown passes away, it's difficult because you have to sit there and think about the fact that we will all die one day, and when you leave or when somebody leaves, the people who are still here have to process your death, and we'll all pass away one day. One day I won't be here, right? I hope I'm here for a long time. I want to be here till I'm 100 and something. But when it's my time to go, people will be sad for a little bit and then they'll move on. But how do we really move on when it comes to grief? There's no real nobody knows the answer. Like I know a million psychiatrists, right, from school and all this stuff. Nobody knows the answer. I've asked pastors and I've asked nobody knows the answer, right? So we're all doing the best when it comes to grief. So if you're grieving something right now, like Rain says, Denver just going through grief. Sorry to hear that. Somebody said their mom had passed away when they were 11. I'm sure if I scroll through more, there's more people who have been through this type of thing. Just understand that you have to grieve in your own way, right? And we're gonna get to the three things, but I just want to say that there's no real way of doing this. Like, I don't have the answers. Like, y'all ask me questions. Hey, Dr. Kojo, I don't know. I'm telling you right now, early in the live stream, I don't know. So we're gonna have to kind of figure it out together, and we'll figure it out together. But there's no real way to grieve. So just keep that in mind as we go through this live stream, right? So the first thing that I know about grief, where is okay? First thing I know about grief is that it's not linear, right? It's just not. It's not linear, right? Like let's say you're grieving, um, uh, right here. Trisha says, "I lost my brother and sister in a short time, so difficult." So Trisha, first of all, let me say I'm so sorry for your loss. Like I'm so close to my family, and like losing, like, I'm even getting sad thinking about like the fact that we have to go one day. I'd be crushed if I lost one sibling. Like I would be crushed. Like I come out here and I'm on the live stream and I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm dancing. Like if I lost a single sibling, like I would be. Y'all may not see me for like a month. I mean, I'll come back, but I'll be gone for a long time. Like these things are very difficult to process, right? So, like I said, number one, it's not linear. Like you don't lose somebody like in 2017, and after that, you're like, okay, I went through it, and you're like, okay, I'm fine. Like it doesn't work that way. Like you just don't get over it in a way. And when I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I don't want grief to be like something where I lost somebody, or it could be a relationship, or maybe a missed job. You can grieve so many things, but I don't want to get to a situation where, let's say, I grieve something and like the thing is just behind me. Like like when I think about people that I've lost in the past, when I get sad, I'm grateful that I get sad because it means that I feel like, and because I still feel, I still care, right? And I'll think back to all the good times I had with those people, and I'm like, damn, like I really miss like hanging out with so and so, and I'm so grateful that I got the chance to meet these people and to be a part of their lives, and they were a part of mine. So sometimes that's how I like to look at it, but it's not linear. You can have a year where you feel like you've been through it, and you grieved, right, and you've moved on, and all of a sudden you're like, dang, it's been 10 years, why am I still sad about this, right? My mom lost her father, I think, in 1990, so that's what, 30 years ago. 1990, 30, no, 1990 is 32 years ago. My math is bad, y'all, but my mom lost her dad over 3 decades ago, and she still talks about, oh, my dad used to do this, and I'm like, oh wow. So people never really get over it, right? You just learn how to make the best of it. So if you're grieving and then you go for a while and you're a little bit better, but then you go back to like being sad and crying and isolating yourself, just understand that there's nothing wrong with you. Like that's how you're grieving. So if you feel like you've backtracked a little bit, don't be too hard on yourself, right? That's why I'm spiritual. Yeah, I'm spiritual as well, but some people aren't, and they still have to figure out how they have to, grieve. And Austin says, "Ooh, let me give Austin the first love of the show right here." I saw this quote. I don't know where I saw it from, but like this hit me. This quote hit me like grief is a price of love. Like, ooh, this is too deep for a Wednesday night or a early Thursday morning, depending on where y'all are at. That's quite deep, but it kind of is, right? Like grief, when you love, right? We know that nothing lasts forever, right? And grief, unfortunately, is a price of love. I do agree with that. You never really get past it. You get through it, right? And Trish, I like the little last part right here. I gotta give you I love the show because you get through it, and a lot of times when you try and get past something, if you still think about that thing, you're like, dang, like I can't get past it. I can't get past it. And you turn all your focus and attention to getting past this thing, right? As long as you can get through it. And when you get through it, it might come back to like, affect you here and there, but you got through it. You're doing the best that you can. You really have to keep that in mind. Really have to keep that in mind. And Leon says, good channel idea for the Discord is to have a channel for anyone here who is part of the Discord to connect after the live for support networking. Leilani, I completely agree. Like whatever section we need in Discord, let me know. And we're gonna put the Discord link in here for you all to join the Discord family. It's the place where we can all congregate and throw ideas around, and we can get to know each other. So the Discord family is there for that. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how this works. So Leilani, I appreciate you. Austin, I'm so happy to be here as well. Appreciate you, my guy. My granddad, after dementia, Tank, I was angry, sad, and depressed for days. And yeah, a lot of times when people are angry, like there's nothing. Look and look, check it out. I'm a Christian, right? But there's nothing wrong, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have to double check this with your pastor. But there's nothing wrong with being like angry at God. You know, like it's weird because I don't talk about religion out here. Too funny. So I don't know how people will take that. But if you're angry at God, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That's just the emotion. Like you're frustrated with what's going on, and you're just flat out angry. Like that's a human emotion. It doesn't mean that you're, saying God is this. Like you're just angry, and it's okay to feel those emotions because that's a part of getting through it. And Kwana, it's a nice name. I think the trick to grief is to do something to honor them, something that reminds you of them, or that they used to enjoy with you. I like this. I like this because this allows you to, remember them and understand that. Oh wow, at one point I was spending time with this person and they meant a lot to me. So let me give you a love of the show for that. Denisha says lost both parents 10.5 months apart, 2002 and 2003. Grief is something you have to go through. Yeah, no way around it and still remain healthy. I know it isn't linear. Some life events make more difficult. Yeah. Yeah. And look, Denisha, you're doing the best that you can, right? And this is 2002 and 2003, like 20 years ago, 21 years ago. Like you just don't, like you'll never forget '02 and '03, right? That's just how life is. And you're doing the best that you can. So on days where you're like, dang, I miss my mom and I miss my dad, right? It's okay to have those feelings. Like my parents are alive, but I live in LA and they live on the East Coast. And, I miss them sometimes, right? So it's okay to normalize those feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's why the grief support groups are so good because you're around other people who are going through loss. And then it makes you feel like regular. Because when you're hyper fixated on the fact that you're grieving somebody or something, or a circumstance that's not there anymore, then you might feel like, oh, why am I still stuck in the past? Like, what's going on with me? Carlos says a living death is the worst. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The love of my parents is still there. That's what's up, Margaret. That's a good one. We do Burger King and trips with our dog. That made him happy. I like that. I like that. My mom passed through. We used to go do the nursing home neglect. I'm so angry right now. And I have two sisters. I can't track down to tell them to. Kathy, very sorry to hear that. And there's nothing wrong with being angry, right? Whether people are like, oh, that's one of the stages of grief, or don't look, if you're grieving, don't worry about the stages of grief, or don't worry about like a DSM-5. Don't worry about any of that. Like you have to do what you have to do for yourself. Don't worry that you've been no, whatever you're doing, you should be proud of, right? To get through the situation. And Chelsea says, I was so mad with God, but God is the Father first, and He also will understand these emotions. He created you. Right. Chelsea, thank you for backing up what I was saying. Because at first I was like, how are people going to take me saying it's okay to be angry at God, right? Because, we're on the internet. Anybody can take this, live stream and like clip out like a small part and say, oh, Dr. Koda says it's okay to be angry at God or be angry at God. Like I'm happy that you got it, right? Jay says, today would have been my parents' 54th wedding anniversary. Dad passed 19 days ago. Sorry for your loss, Jenny Marie. Haven't had time to grieve. I'll help my mom. Right. And that's another thing. Like, you can also be somebody who, and that's why for all the people who are like the strong people in your family, it's okay to take a step back and, to be human. Because if you're the strong person, right, or the go-to person, then people are always kind of expecting you to be okay. Like, you're the one helping people go through their stuff, right? So you still have to find time to sit back and be like, all right, okay, what do I need for myself? Or what's the next thing that I have to do to make sure that I'm taking care of my mental health and am I sleeping? Am I taking care of myself, right? But when you're that go-to person, it can be very difficult. Brett, Sunday night is going to be huge. I don't know if Tannehill is playing, but I've been DMing the Titans and I've been telling them, hey, if Ryan Tannehill needs my ankle, like come and get my ankle. Like we can surgically take my ankle because we have a big game against the Chiefs and we have to win. So I'm hoping we win. I'm a little nervous, but I've been trying not to keep up with the game because this is going to be a Sunday night football game on TV. And I hope we get it. I think we'll win, but I don't think Malik Willis is ready. But another topic for another day. But he'll get with the program. Anxiety is a hidden part of grief. Yeah, and also Quana. That's a nice name. I like that name. Speaking of anxiety, we also have, like, after you've had a lot of loss, right? I saw somebody in the comments saying that they lost two parents within like a 2 year span, and somebody lost siblings like back to back. When you go through loss, sometimes you have this whole concept of anticipatory grief, where you're kind of grieving people who are still here, or you're grieving situations that are still going on, or maybe you're grieving a relationship that is still going on, but in the back of your head you're like, dang, this relationship is about to end any moment now, so you start grieving in advance. And that's anxiety robbing you of the present moment, right? Like right now we're on live stream, right? So we're all hanging out, the 149 of us and people who watch on the back end, we're present, right? But tomorrow, when you're going through life, you're doing your stuff, right? You have to be present to really take in the current moment. But it's really hard to be present when you lost somebody and you're like, dang, my parents are getting older. I wonder how long they'll be here. That one is really personal for me. Like I see, when I went back home to Tennessee, I looked in the, I was on the couch and I looked through my dad's medications. I'm like, damn, like he's getting older, blood pressure, like he's taking a lot of meds. And I start to think, I'm like, dang, like my dad won't be here one day. That's my hero. And I had to like tell myself, all right, Kojo, relax. You're sitting here in Tennessee. You're in front of your dad. Y'all are watching the game. You're having a good time. Just enjoy this moment right now, because we don't have forever with each other. So instead of me being like, oh, my dad's getting old, I want to, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow anxiety to take over. Nope. I'm going to sit here with my dad and we're going to have a good time and we're going to enjoy the time that we have, right? Because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Like even me, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? But the time we have right now, I'm hell bent on, all right, we're going to enjoy this time. Like I'm not going to let anticipatory grief like just rob me of my my present. And yes, Hannah, we've actually, I'm not sure if we have talked about ADHD and grief. I think we have, but either way, we should probably have another live on it. But as I've spoken about before, people with ADHD, a lot of times when it comes to emotional things like emotional regulate, like it's hard for us to manage our emotions on a day-to-day basis, just as it is right there, right now. It's difficult for us to take criticism and rejection a lot of times. And I say us because I have ADHD as well. If you're new to the live stream. So when someone with ADHD is grieving, it can be difficult because you may feel the grief on like a super level. So like you might grieve, but you might really grieve. You might really hold on to that situation, and that can make grief difficult, or that much more difficult, because grief is never easy, right? But it can be that much more difficult when you're already struggling to manage your emotions, right? So the grief that you can experience as somebody with ADHD, I do think that that's a bit more profound. Not saying that other people can grieve like easier, but I do think I think that that's a bit more profound. Like we should be talking more about that. Most definitely. That's a fantastic question, Hannah. Elizabeth, very sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that. Ooh, yeah. The delayed emotional oh, Mickey Ficky, Leilani, you're talking now. And so says Derek Shaka Henry, proud of him. He's making that small time view. Hey, Derek Henry, that's my boy. I love Derek Henry. Like that's my guy right there. Oh, that's the best running back in the NFL. Yeah, I think he's from Yulee, Florida, around like Jacksonville. But when that's A2, and I feel that. Yeah, Austin. Yeah, got to make every day count. Like, got to make like we don't know how much time we have. Like in general, like I have plans for next year. Stuff I want to do. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna be a live stream tomorrow. Like I have plans to see y'all again tomorrow and to run this back again next week. But I don't know if we'll all be here next week. I don't know. I wish I could guarantee that, but we don't know. So because we don't know, we have this moment right now, right? So let's just enjoy this moment. Do our best to enjoy this moment. And if we're fully immersed in the moment, right, then it's difficult to be worried about what could happen, in the future. Beating cancer and losing my mom within 6 months of being told I'm in remission was just unfair. Too much grief. Daniel, sorry to hear this. And that's the thing with life. Sometimes life is just sometimes life is just awful, right? Like I like to have like y'all know me, like I like to say positive. I like to say, no bad days, but sometimes you have a bad day. If or the day that you hear something like this and you lose your mom, that's not a good day. Somebody can't say, "Oh, it's a good day. Just be grateful you're alive." I mean, we should always be grateful, but that's a rough day. That's a bad day. Like we have to be realistic. We can't. There is a thing such as toxic positivity. And the only thing that really makes the positivity like bad is that you have to allow people to have bad days. Like not every day is going to be a day where you go to Disneyland and everybody's smiling. No, it's okay to have subpar days, productive days, days where you do nothing, days where you plan to do something, you couldn't do a single thing. Like that's just how life works, right? And Chris says, they say if you can't take a shower, wash your face. If you can't do dishes, wash your dish. Take a small step one at a time. Big steps will come. Yeah, I'm not sure what context you wrote this in, but this deserves a love of the show. And Josh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. When people say like this type of comment, I mean, I've mentioned it before, and y'all might get tired of me saying thank you, but it really means a lot that we can connect on this level. Because sometimes I've gone back and I've watched my own videos, and I'm like, dang, all right, I need to work on this. I need to work on that. So this is, this. I'm just a messenger, but these are all things that we could do to improve our lives. So, Joshua Gomez, I appreciate you. Life's absolutely awful. I wish I knew how to be. So, all right. So let me talk about this right now. So, Danny, if you think life is awful, life could be bad right now, right? Let's just say life is bad right now. Once once we acknowledge that life is bad right now, then we can say, all right, it's bad right now, but what about the future? Like it could get better. There's nothing wrong with having like a bad time, but if life is, let's say life is like absolute shit right now, and you're it's just the worst time of all time. If you're having a bad time now and you don't have any hope for the future and you feel like you can't change your situation, that's when we get to that slippery slope of, oh, like, this person is helpless or hopeless, they're struggling, they're sad, they're depressed, and that's when sometimes we have to come in as a professionals and provide like professional help. But there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that, okay, things right now are not good, it's just not good, but I'd still like you to have that hope that things can get better, but you have to first acknowledge how things are right now, that we need things to get, get better, right? It can't be this low forever. When my cat died, I woke up with panic attacks where I suddenly pop out of bed and my adrenaline was running like I could save him. I definitely wasn't in the moment at the time. It was so helpful that my PCP prescribed anxiety meds for me. So once again, this is why professional help is so good, because speaking about anxiety, like for some people, like I know many patients like this, because I don't like, I think I've already mentioned this, I don't like giving out benzos. Like I'm not a fan of prescribing. Benzos are my least prescribed medications, because you can't just run around giving everybody Valium, Klonopin, Xanax. That's, if you do that, then that's a bad provider, in my opinion. You're not supposed to do that. But there's times when I've had patients, I'm like, you know what? This patient needs the Xanax, right? Like you can't judge everybody and say, oh, they're gonna abuse. No, like they need the Xanax, or they need the abuse bar, or the Klonopin, or the Zoloft, or whatever it is, right? So sometimes we aren't able to do things on our own, and you would really benefit from going to a professional and getting some medications that can really help you out. I think I should always mention that, because I know we're always looking for ways to do things at home by ourselves, but like Quana said here, sometimes if you have, like, I got this little you know I got a couple of pens and stuff in here, right? If I need like a highlighter, right? I got it right here, right? Let's say I need to like highlight something and I didn't have a highlighter, right? It'd be really hard. I'd still probably use a different colored pen, because I got this right here. Y'all know I talk about this pen. I would use a different color pen to like circle what I needed. But if I had a highlighter, it'd be much easier, right? Because I can just easily highlight it and see where I need to get to. The same thing with medications, right? Of course, you could maybe give yourself like a mental chill pill and say, okay, I'm just gonna relax now, and it might be helpful. And if you can do that, great. But you don't feel bad about having to take Xanax or something like that to maintain, because I think that's important to say. because I don't talk about that side a lot, but that's important to say. Kelly Turner, thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I experienced a delayed emotion processing when my grandfather passed October 2019 in a car accident. Ooh, sorry to hear that. It was the first time a close family member passed. I was driving to work one day after it happened. I told Siri to play a song, and she started calling my grandparents. Wow. I had to pull over and call my supervisor. I'd be late that day, so I could cry it out. Well, thank you for sharing, Leilani. And yeah, that's how it is. But I'm happy that you gave yourself that space to, you know, to grieve. And even speaking about yesterday with the takeoff thing, I was like, nah, like my thing, like I'm stubborn. But like when I heard the news, my whole morning was like, I was sad. Like yesterday morning, I was just sad. Like I didn't have energy to do anything. I knew that I had to get to the gym, but I was just like frozen for a long time. But then in my head, even though I'm, Dr. Kojo, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna go live tonight. And then luckily, I'm like, all right, let me just chill out. So I didn't cry it out. Maybe that would have been helpful, but I just kind of like chilled out, and relaxed, right? Because I like to, I like to sometimes I get hyper. I like to talk, I like to do a lot, but it is helpful to sometimes just sit there and feel what you're feeling, right? You don't want to gaslight yourself and say, oh, I'm not feeling. No, if you're feeling that way, that's how you're feeling. We gotta do our best to stay grateful. And Cameron, hey, I do my best. I appreciate you. Love you from the Queen. I'm not sure what from the Queen means, but much love to you as well. Thank you so much. And ooh, right. Let me click what Chelsea said. But Leilani, you're right. You're right. I was like, I gotta take my own uh advice, but I'm stubborn sometimes. But being stubborn is being human, right? So I gotta get my space to be stubborn. Another weird thing about grief, like Leilani says, how things will smack you in the face randomly and it all comes rushing back. Local station, start Christmas music, and my desk very crowd came on the highway. Wow, yeah, and that's like I've had Chelsea. Thank you for sharing. By the way, I really appreciate you sharing so that people can see this and tie it all in. I've had patients who have lost somebody, and uh, like they remember, like sometimes like they would smell how the person that they lost smelt randomly out of nowhere, you know and I'm not going to call this like a olfactory hallucination, but sometimes people will feel like they're hearing a voice from somebody that they lost. I've heard people say things that like they smell things, like they can remember the embalming fluid from when the person passed, like sometimes those things come back up again, right? And uh Logan, appreciate you, thank you so much, I really appreciate you. And I think I missed all right. So let me get Marcia's, and then I'll move on to the second and third thing. It's not a lot, and I've actually enjoyed like looking at the comments more than what I had prepared for y'all. How do you deal with grief without closure? My uncle just put up the Oregon Coast in 2016, and we still don't have any answers. So it's really difficult, right? I think a lot of times, like look. First of all, let's understand as human beings, look at what we will do for closure. Like we will go back to an old relationship with somebody that we didn't like, or somebody that wasn't treating us well, or somebody that we shouldn't have been with, because we want some type of closure. We just want to go back and figure out like what in the world happened. And it's the natural thing for our brains to try and like make sense of everything. Like why? So and so left, like why? Where did they go? Like are they, have they passed away, or should I still like have hope that they can come back? And this is difficult because there's no, like, you just don't know. So I would say do the best way that you can, right? If you like to think that, oh, he may come back, or you just have to do your best, right? Your best is good enough, right? There's no real answer for this. There's no real answer for this, right? And making peace with the fact that he's not here, right? And that he may never come back, that could be that could be your answer, right? And he could come back. Like it'd be great if he did, but we don't know. But if you make peace with the fact that he's not here and he could come back, or he may never come back, that could be a step in the right direction. But you may make peace with it, and you may still question yourself and be like, it just ain't right, right? So it's not linear. Like you can jump all over the place, but wherever you are in the process, you have to still respect yourself and give yourself some credit, right? Whether you're feeling like a rock star one day or the next day, you're like, you're just like, nah. Like you have to give yourself that space, right? And here is the second thing that I know about grief. And I spoke about this like as we were going, but uh and yeah, you gotta remember to take care of yourself. Like it's so important. And a lot of people who I feel like a lot of people who watch my stuff are people who are the go-to people in their lives, right? So you're naturally gonna look out for other people, but if you have to put a reminder on your phone, do so. But please remember to take care of yourself, right? But number two, none of us really have the answers. Like I promise you, you can go find the top like self-help guru or psychologist or psychiatrist on the planet. I promise you they don't have the answer for this. Like they just don't, and I don't think that they should, right? Like when it comes to loss in life, like that's way, not to get like all out there, but like that's bigger than us as human beings. Like we don't understand what that is. I don't know if we want to understand. Like we just understand, and that's fine, right? We don't have all the answers, and we don't always have to try and make things make sense. So nobody really has the answer. So that means that because there's no like step by step, oh, this is how you do it. We don't have the answer. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing the best that you can, and you're making a little bit of progress, then you should be very, very proud of that. Do I have lived experience with what, Arena? Can you please clarify? If somebody sees Arena's follow up with that, let me know. Um, my uncle went missing in Massachusetts, and we also don't answers. Yes. So look, Marcia, here's Courtney. She's been through a similar thing, right? And they don't have. It's almost 10 years later. They don't know, and they've had to do the best with what they know, what they don't know, and they know that he's not here currently, right? So is this difficult? And when I think about this from like my perspective, like if I had somebody go missing and I hadn't seen him in 10 years, like I would have days where I might be in the middle of a live stream and I might just think to myself, like, damn, like why? Right? Like there's nothing wrong with, you know, doing good and feeling like, you're not doing as well anymore. I gotta close one of the windows. The little thing went off. Yeah, everyone grieves differently, right? And a lot of times, I should have mentioned this. Maybe I should have made this a bullet point, but you also don't want to judge somebody for how they grieve, right? I've had friends who, like, we've lost a mutual friend, and my friend didn't show up to the funeral, and at first I was like, this person meant so much. Like, why wouldn't you show up to the funeral? Like, and I used to want to argue with them, but then I realized, okay, that's their way of grieving. Like maybe they didn't want to show up to the funeral, but I can't. Like, I have nothing to say about that. Let me show up and let me do what I have to do, and just respect what decision they choose to make. Um, yeah, yeah. So, Quantity, this is my first time seeing you in the live stream, but you're on the money today. You're on the money tonight. And all right, so Hannah had a question, and I saw it. Let me get it real quick, as this is more important than the last bullet. But young children grieving, age 3. All right, so it's very difficult, and this is also up to personal preference, right? Like, I would definitely want to consult with the child's father, make sure you're on the same page. A lot of times, parents will have kids that they think they'll say, "Oh, my child is so smart," and like we all know, like those kids that they get it a little bit faster than other kids. So sometimes with those kids, oh, my child's kind of mature. I think I'll be explaining things to them. And what happens to those kids is that a lot of times, because they were kind of like mature, parents may have unknowingly dumped so much trauma on them, like, oh, your uncle's going through this, blah, blah, blah. And that's how that child grows up, and then they become overwhelmed because the parents have put so much on them, right? At the same time, it is important to break things down to your kids in a way that they can understand. So if you have to say, hey, grandpa is not here anymore, grandpa used to be here, we will not be seeing grandpa again, I am sad, maybe there's a way to talk to a 3-year-old, but it is important to be truthful. But depending on like your child, and depending on your parenting style, and depending on how you yourself process grief, You want to be careful that you don't put too much on them, but it is good for kids to know certain things, like this is what's going on, and maybe they don't understand like what it means, but hey, grandpa not coming home, he's not coming home again, and we will miss him a lot, but it kids need to know, based off of what you want them to know. But sometimes kids can't make sense of anything, so sometimes the kids have it figured out more than us, because kids will be like, dang, that sucks, and they get up, and kids are brave, kids are very brave, kids are very smart, so sometimes there's things that like kids do that I'm like, you know what, maybe we need to take a page from their book, right? But it depends on a lot of things, parenting styles. I would say one thing to keep in mind is make sure that you and the child's father are on the same page when it comes to explaining to the kid, because this is one of those things where it'd be helpful if parents were always on the same page, right? Like we've all remember when our parents were like, mom thought that and dad was thinking this. But with something as heavy as grief, at least on this topic, y'all should, if y'all are on the same page, it'd be helpful. Um, and Hannah, no problem. Leilani, thank you for catching that. And yeah, Jeff, kids is like, the more we grow up, like we're trained to like be realistic. Like kids are very resilient, very resilient. And yeah, what Lindsay's saying, yeah, and I'm a spiritual person. Maybe not everybody here is a praying person or something like that, but if we could do like a big like I remember on Facebook they used to have like the poke, you used to like find your crush, and I would always poke my crush, and then she poked me back, and I'd be like, oh, I think she likes me, right? The same way we had that poke back in the day. I wish we could do like a virtual, you know, a virtual hug. Hugs are helpful. Hugs are helpful. And Chelsea said, I never believed it until now. My dad passed in February. We found out I'm pregnant with baby number 2. It's a cycle, and somehow it brings me peace. Well, congratulations. Everybody congratulate Chelsea on baby number 2. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. And sometimes people are in this situation and they'll maybe name the child after the person that passed away. But congratulations on baby number 2, Chelsea. That's exciting. And number 3, my final point, we've got to grieve in our own way. We've got to grieve in our own way, and go back to the example that I was talking about. I wanted to go to the funeral. My friend didn't want to go to the funeral. And somebody earlier had said something about they don't like to go to funerals. Like that's their prerogative. They want to go to the funeral. Like that's how they grieve, and who am I to sit there and say, oh, I'm better than you because I had the emotional balls to show up to the funeral. No, like that's how I grieve, and that's how you grieve. So we have to allow people to grieve in their own way, and likewise, we have to grieve in our own way. And Chelsea, congratulations on baby number 2. That's super exciting. That's awesome. And like I know it's been a year filled with loss for you, but it's funny how towards the end of the year, we're expecting like a gain. That's a beautiful thing. My friend had their baby. Her father passed away from COVID. She says her baby was handpicked in heaven by her dad. It helped her cope with the situation. Oh wow, wow, wow! That's neat. That's neat. That's neat. It's amazing. And Aram, like once again, I don't know how much of this live stream you caught, but this is like if it's getting harder, you don't have to feel like you're not on the right path. Like you are on the right path. Like like I don't even know who you are, and I'm telling you, like you're on the right track to grieving because you've been grieving in your own way, and that's how you grieve. There's no there's no way to do it properly. So you're on the right path regardless. You're going through it. You gotta give yourself some credit. So if it's getting harder, accept it. Yeah, it's getting harder. Why is it getting harder? Maybe it's getting closer to holiday time, Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? So now we think about our families more, and you might get off the live stream and you might cry, and if you do, that's fine, like you have to allow yourself to feel it all, and for me, like the therapist side of me is like, I know what to say, but then on my personal end, I'm like, even me personally, I'm learning to feel emotions because I know what to say. Like I know what the right answer is, but I'm like, all right. Now when it's time for me to feel, let me feel. Let me pause and feel. And it's hard to feel if you're moving. Sometimes you have to pause to feel, right? What, you, you took the words out of my mouth, and that's one big problem I have with like today's society in general. Like we get this news so fast, we're overstimulated, overwhelmed, and like it's just hitting you. So and so passed away, so and so passed away, so and so passed away, and we've never been this aware of so much loss, and it is concerning. Like it's concerning, but if it's happening, it's better to talk about it and acknowledge it than to just act as if things are okay. Act as if it's just fine for somebody to shoot somebody over a game of dice, right? Act as if it's fine to for kids to be killed in elementary school, and people are like, "Oh, it's fine, yeah." Like that's not normal. It's not normal for kids to go to school and die. Like it's not. This is not normal. Like this is weird, right? And that's why I like the online space, right? Because whereas in the office, you gotta be like, like all proper, like, and use the proper term. No, like that's not normal. It's not normal for kids to go to school and die. Like these things, that's not supposed to happen, on any given day. But these awful things do happen, right? So, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna act like, we didn't see it, or are we gonna acknowledge it and do our best to go through the pain and to push forward? I was replying to someone who said, New revelation. Yeah, Chelsea, congrats on baby number 2. Amy, that's what's up. Go back to for psych. I appreciate that, and keep in mind we can make this thing fun. I think anybody who wants to go back to school and be a therapist or maybe do this, like it doesn't have to be boring and like yes, I sleep with a DSM-5 next to me, but that's just cause but like I want this stuff to be like engaging and and fun. Da, 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 da. Josh, you can always send an email to either info@codersoftware.com or assistant@codersoftware.com. The ones that go to my assistant get seen faster because he's faster than me. That's probably the best way to reach me. The sad music, yeah. Uh, uh, Facebook user. Sometimes I'll connect music to like a person or a time, right? So like if I hear a song by a certain artist that a friend who passed away used to love, I might think about them. I don't know if that's what you're asking. And let me see. Da-da-da-da. Melissa, I do all right. I do all right. And Logan, we're not gonna go anywhere. We're gonna keep posting the content and keep doing our thing. Let me see. Is it normal to cry further? So Lindsay, I'm not sure if I got this, but yeah, like keep in mind, look, if you can get PTSD from hearing about something that's traumatic, think about that. Like we're all connected. You can get PTSD from hearing about something traumatic, right? You don't have to be there. You could have heard about it, and it can affect you mentally to where you take on that trauma, right? So if somebody else is grieving and you're grieving for their losses, there's nothing wrong with that. Like we're more connected than you think. And yes, Lilana is correct. Can somebody drop in the magic word? And let me do this real quick. My mom died. Spencer, so sorry to hear that. During my last semester of college, I am taking a break from school because this situation exacerbated my ADHD and depression. I'm doing better now and expected to graduate this December. Congratulations. You all congratulate Spencer down in the chat. He's graduating from college. I constantly think about how my mother won't be a part of my future so early on in life, and when I'm in dark places, all I want to do is call her, but remember I can't. All right, so Spencer, look, there's nothing. This is if you're wondering if you're grieving the right way, you're grieving the right way. This is your experience, right? And like when you have these big moments where you graduate, somebody gets married, baby shower, right? You're gonna think about family. So you're gonna think about your mom. You're gonna think about your parents. You're gonna think about your uncles and aunts and nieces and nephews because those are family events. So when you experience this, understand that like you're human and you're going through something that a lot of people go through. I still have my mom, and if I lost her, like I would, I would not I have to take some time, right? So it's not an easy thing that you're going through. So you have to give yourself some credit, So that's the even when you can't call her because she's not here, you have to give yourself some credit. You're doing a really good job. All right. Yeah, congratulations on graduating. That's exciting. Cheers. Cheers. All right, so normally I have the sparkling water, but actually I can't find it. So we're gonna roll with the regular water. And the water break allows us to stay hydrated because a lot of us, whether you have ADHD or not, you may forget to stay hydrated. So cheers. And Trish, yeah, no spicy water today, but I was able to get a good gulp in without having to you know. Yeah, ghost pens, that's amazing. So Melissa, this is difficult as well, right? When a lot happens, and you may not be able to tell you the truth, Melissa, you may not be able to grieve like each death because they all happen so fast, right? And like this year flew by. We're in November, right? Time flies by so fast, and sometimes a lot happens in a short amount of time, and you don't have time to process each thing, right? So when you can't do that, you can't do that. So process all of them collectively until you're able to process one by one, right? So if the best you can do now is just kind of grieve them collectively, that's the best you can do now, right? You're one person. You can't like clone yourself and then try and like work the grief out faster. You're doing the best that you can, right? So you may have to grieve them collectively, and as you can, try and grieve and respect and honor each one individually. All right, the spicy one. Cheers! Oh man. Yeah. It's been almost a year since I've started these shows, and wow. Special thanks to Facebook for allowing me to do this because I like, going live and I want to talk about things that I don't see people talk about on TV. Like we don't talk about ADHD and grief on TV. We don't talk about we were talking about polyamorous relationships a month back and a couple of months back. We talk about impulsivity. We talk about the things that people don't really want to talk about, and um, even when I talk about topics like sex and things like that, I don't have to worry about Facebook taking down the live or saying, "Oh, we don't want you talking about certain things." I had to worry about that when I first started. I didn't know how long I'll be able to go live for you all because I'm like, okay, I'll talk about mental health. Of course, I got my comedy skits and the short films and stuff, but I talk about mental health. And I just knew that at some point we were going to get on the topic of things like suicide or self-harm. And, that at some point they were going to take my content down. Like I thought that I thought I was going to get flagged for community violations, but I've never not once received a single violation or, a strike from Facebook. They've been very supportive. So I'm just grateful for this platform because without the platform I can't connect with y'all like this. So I'm very grateful for it. And yeah, it's been almost a year since I started. So I can't wait to see where we go from here. And Carol, thank you so much. And sure, let me see my email. All right, so I do have to dip out now. But go ahead and keep in mind that we have the Discord link where actually, I'll wait for somebody to drop the Discord link in, but either copy and paste it or maybe click it if you're able to click it straight from your phone. But the Discord group is where we all come together and we congregate and we get to know each other. And I'm still figuring out how the text channels and stuff like that work. So just give me some time to figure that stuff out. But the Discord is a great way to, be a part of something bigger than yourself. And yes, trash reminder as well for those of us who have trash day on Thursday. My trash day was Wednesday, and I got my trash out last night. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Well, until next time, which is tomorrow, because today is Wednesday. So tomorrow, 6 p.m., we'll be back for the show. So until then, peace out. I love y'all.